Hey everybody, Rob here for Rob's Holiday Decor Review, and I have a brand new inflatable review for you today. I purchased this one from yardinflatables.com, and it is one that I've thought about getting for several seasons now, but just always passed on it. And as you can tell from the title, it is a Star Wars themed inflatable. Now, I've always been a big Star Wars fan, especially the original trilogy. However, I've always kind of been against putting them in my Christmas display. It just didn't feel like it quite fit. So, this year, there's hopefully newer designs coming out, like the Millennium Falcon and Chewbacca and the AT-ST, where I've just kind of come to the conclusion that they're getting cool enough now, and there's enough of them that I feel like I can make a pretty cool portion of my display be a Star Wars display. So this particular inflatable, like I said, it's been out a few years, and it's come with some different variations. There's actually a new version this year that actually has like a red nose and antlers. And when it first came out, it really had no Christmas connection whatsoever. Then they added some Christmas lights to it, which, you know, at least made you know that, hey, it has something to do with Christmas. So that is the version I got. And if you haven't guessed it by now, I picked up the AT-AT Imperial Walker with the Christmas lights from Star Wars. And I think it's not in every Star Wars movie, but I know it's in Empire Strikes Back. It's in, trying to think what else it's in. I don't know. Star Wars Rebels. I know it's in Star Wars Rebels. And it's in one of the newer ones. I think it's in, I don't think it's in the Force Awakens, but it might be in the one behind The Last Jedi, I think is what that one's called. It might be in that one, but then they were called Gorilla Walkers, so I don't know if technically it's the same thing, even though they do make a Gorilla Walker inflatable. But this is not that version. This is not the Gorilla Walker. This is the more of the Empire Strikes Back AT-AT Walker. Another reason why I never got it is because unless you're a pretty solid Star Wars fan, you're not gonna know what it is. And so there needed to be several other Star Wars inflatables out that I could put with it so that people would kind of know exactly what it was, or where it belonged at least. Because an AT-AT Walker by itself, there's just going to be a lot of people who don't get it. It just won't fit, especially with my displays, it won't fit it. So I'm going to kind of review this on a rating scale. I'm going to review it in several different areas, and this is totally new. It's the first time I've done this on an inflatable, and so I'll probably be tweaking it as I do more reviews. But I'm going to design it, or rate it on a wow factor. Like, does it have that showstopper effect? Like, if somebody sees it, or they can have to stop their car and stop and look at it. That's the wow factor. And these are going to be done on a scale of 1 through 10. 1 being the weakest, 10 being the best. So there's going to be the wow factor rating. I'm also going to do like a creative area, like how creative is that particular inflatable? Does it make sense? Did the designers of it do all they could with it? And then I'm also going to have a durability type area as well, category. Like, how well will it stand up? Do I think it'll be able to handle winds? Does it have a cheap fan where it's not going to last very long? Does it have a heavy duty fan where you're going to get several uses out of it? So for now, those are the 3 areas that I'm going to be reviewing inflatables on. So again, that's wow factor, creativity, and durability. Creativity and design are going to kind of be the same thing. So again, I got the AT-AT Walker. Got it from yardinflatables.com. It was on clearance. Normally this one is usually $199, and it's usually at Home Depot. I've seen it marked down before. The cheapest I've ever seen it for a brand new one was, I believe, $133, and that was a clearance price. I've always tried to get them when they're 50% off, but whenever Home Depot has gone to 50% off and I tried to grab one online, they miraculously weren't available. So, I'm excited this year to try the Star Wars theme. My plan is to have the AT-AT Walker, the AT-ST Walker, the Millennium Falcon. Now granted, there's no confirmation on those two, but we did see visual confirmation of them at the Gemmy warehouse. And then I'll get a couple different things. I'm not quite sure. I know there's a R2-D2 X-Wing out there that I might get. We'll just have to see what I think about that one. Might get like a small Yoda one, something else. So we'll see. So let's take a look at the AT-AT Walker. Okay, so here you can see the front of the box. Again, it's from Disney, but I mean, Disney owns the Star Wars brand, but this is a Gemmy product. It's got the Halloween. It's got the Christmas lights on it. And really, if it didn't have the Christmas lights on it, I wouldn't get it, because it just wouldn't fit with Christmas at all. It is 9 feet tall. That's really all the front of the box says. So let's take a look at the rest of the box. Again, this came from Yard Inflatables. Front of the box. Now this was a clearanced warehouse item. So I don't know if this was like a display unit or what, but I got a good deal on it, so I'm fine with it. This particular one is 2018, so it's 2 years old. Alright, so let's take a look inside the box. Let me get a knife. Alright, so like I said, this was a unit they had in their warehouse, so it's not going to look like a brand new unit. Like normally you would have like the tethers and stuff sitting on top with the little manual that tells you absolutely nothing. So what I will do is I'm going to move to the garage where we can get this up, because it is 9 feet tall, and where I'm at now I do not have 9 feet tall ceilings. So let's take a look at it in the... Go ahead. So obviously it's got a larger base fan. I did not do a good job untangling it from the box, so it probably would inflate a little bit better if I had done that. There we go. It's actually quite larger than it looks in that box. Hold on. It's quite a bit bigger. Hold on. Quite a bit larger. Hey Nolan, stand up by one of the legs. So I'll show you stand right there. So he's about 4 feet, and you can see the difference there. Yeah, it's pretty good. Christmas lights up there look pretty good. Lights up pretty well. Nolan, go turn the lights off. It's still pretty light out where I'm at, but I'm gonna turn the lights off in the garage. There's no lights in the leg. It's all like all the lights are up here. So if it had some lights in the leg, that would be even better. It's just solid gray on this side, and the legs don't have any details on that side either. But the head has details all the way around. So obviously you want to display him from this angle. Now, his legs are, I'll show you. I've seen a couple versions where, oh, I see it, never mind. So the legs are kind of together, right here. They're connected together, so that actually helps. For a second there, I thought they were all four single tall pole-like structures, which would not be as good. So one little tricky thing about it is it's going to require some good tethering. So there is you can tether here, which is in the rear. You can tether the other side of the rear, and there's one up here in the front, and there's also another one here on the front. And I can't tell, yeah, there's some down here on the legs as well. So I think if you tether it right, it will hold up all right, but you're gonna have to do a good job with that because how tall and skinny it is below. If a wind comes around, that's going to really knock that one over. But it looks pretty good overall. I definitely think it'll go well with some other Star Wars items. I don't know if I'd recommend it just by itself, but if you're a Star Wars fan and you're looking for a pretty cool piece that another Star Wars fan would find interesting, then this is definitely for you.
Okay guys, well hopefully you enjoyed seeing that all inflated. So now it's time to give it a rating. We'll call it a Rob rating. So we are going to start with creativity and design. So again, this is on a scale of 1 through 10, 1 being the weakest, 10 being the greatest. So for creativity and design, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Now here's why I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Mainly because the Christmas theme piece of it is pretty weak. And like originally it didn't have anything on it that had to do with Christmas, and they threw the Christmas lights on it. And some of the newer models, they are starting to up that a little bit with like a Santa hat or a reindeer antlers or a Rudolph nose. So they're headed in the right direction with it. But as far as like just being creative with it, I feel like it is pretty solidly a 6 out of 10. I mean, it's cool that it's an AT-AT walker, but again, it doesn't totally fit with Christmas. And I felt like if that was a little bit higher, if they had incorporated that in a more creative way, then that score would have been more. So for creativity and design, I'm doing 6 out of 10. Next part, durability. Now, for durability, what I'm looking at is how well will it withstand the elements? Will it be blown all over the place by the wind? If a novice or a beginner purchases it, will they be able to enjoy it, or will they be constantly putting it back together? So for this one, I'm going to give that a 5 out of 10. Now, it does have a good base fan. It has that going for it. But with the tall legs and the heavy upper body, it's going to be difficult to keep it upright. And you'll have to kind of get creative on how to do it. I mean, maybe you could take some wooden poles, put them behind the legs to where people driving by couldn't see it, and somehow use that to tie it around something to give it a little more stability. That's a possibility. You could, if you got a fence, like a black little stainless steel type fence, you could use that as a backdrop and put that like right up against the fence, which actually I might do that because I actually probably could pull that off. So that if the wind was blowing it, hopefully it'd be blowing it against the fence and wouldn't knock it over. So again, I think a 5 out of 10. I mean, looking at it, it looks to be well put together. It's got the good fan. I do like how the legs are actually together. They're not like four separate units, and you really can't tell. They actually did a pretty good job of almost hiding that a little bit. That they're the two of them are connected to each. So I do like that. But until I actually get it up and see how it handles the elements, I'm going to start with a 5 out of 10. Now, if it does really well this season, then I could easily see this having a higher durability rating. And the last piece is the wow factor. Does it have that wow factor? Does it have the ability, if somebody's driving by with a car full of kids, to get them to stop and say, hey, look at that, stop the car, mom, dad, stop the car, I gotta see that? I don't know. This one I'm giving a 6 out of 10 for the wow factor, just because not everybody knows what an AT-AT walker is. Everybody knows what a snowman is. Everybody knows what a Santa, reindeer, those types of things. But when you drive by and you see a giant AT-AT walker, unless you're a Star Wars fan, you just don't know what it is. So it kind of has that, what is that type factor? Not so much the wow factor. Like a 20-foot snowman would be, in my mind, a 10 out of 10 wow factor. You see that, you got to slow down and look at it. If you see this with a bunch of other Star Wars items, then it kind of ups its factor a little bit because you obviously probably get that it's all Star Wars theme, and you might think it's pretty cool that they put a AT-AT walker with some Christmas lights on it. So yeah, but for now, I give it a 6 out of 10. Now, a Star Wars fan, like a diehard Star Wars fan, maybe an 8 out of 10. But for the normal average person, I would give it a 6 out of 10. So that gives it a total of basically an average of 5.6 out of 10. So if you want to round that up to a 6 out of 10, I mean, that's fine too. Like I said, Star Wars fan might find that a little low. It might be a little higher for them. But I think a 6 out of 10 is a fair rating for this inflatable for someone who's just either they know what Star Wars is or they're just not that into it. But they like Christmas inflatables. So I say a 6 out of 10 for the AT-AT Walker by Gemmy. So, all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this review. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. We'll have several inflatable reviews for Halloween and for Christmas, plus just previews of things that are going to be released to the public, inflatable wise, and just tours of displays. So hopefully you'll subscribe and you'll get some enjoyment out of those. All right, guys, take care. See you next time. Bye.